they said, look, we know you've been doing this for a while and you got the locals locked down, but why don't you start getting pills from us? We've got a lot of product. And I said, I've sent people to Holland with testing kits from Dance Safe. I've got white pills, beige presses, pure stuff. I've got a good reputation. Why would I want to be getting these made in America colored pills? You guys are peddling. And the big guy jumps up. He's like, who the fuck do you think you are disrespecting our pills? One call to Sammy the Bull and we can have you taken out to the desert. So I didn't know whether he was just blowharding or what, whether that was the truth, Sammy the Bull. But the conversation continued. It was like nice and nasty routine. Spaniard's like, calm down, sit down. I'm sorry, Shaun, my friend's a bit of a hothead. And he says, we can still do business. And I'm like, look, the demand is so high, there's enough room for us to coexist. It's not each other we need to worry about. It's the cops. Since you guys have been running around bragging that you're the biggest drug barons in the world, the feds are everywhere. We see these cars coming to the parties, filming everybody's license plates, cars with tinted windows, undercovers coming in the raves, pretending to be out-of-state buyers of pills. You guys have lit the scene up. And he kind of concurred with that. And it left on a friendly note with the Spaniard, but not the other guy. So my wife was passed out on a sofa when I found her on GHB. And Rossetti picks her up and we carry her to the car. And he's like, how did it go? And I said, they're claiming they're with Sammy the Bull. And he's like, oh man, if that's for real, this shit's getting way heavy. He's whacked a lot of people. So we kind of took them seriously, but we weren't sure whether they were just boasting about it or not. And years later now, having done this documentary with Sammy the Bull, I have a complete different understanding of his involvement. He wasn't really very involved. The Ecstasy ring was run by a guy called Mike Papa before the Gravanos came on the scene. And Mike Papa, he incorporated Gerard Gravano, the son, and Karen Gravano, the daughter. And the evidence against the dad was that he put money into it. Gerard called him in the middle of the night, said he needed money for gas. That was one of the calls. And then Sammy invested money into it. So I don't think Sammy was all that aware of what was going on at street level, but he took the fall. The men took the fall to keep the women out of prison when they eventually got sentenced.
Right. So tell us about that documentary. So did you ever have any dealings with Sammy at that time, or was it more afterwards?
So I have never, ever claimed to have met Sammy the Bull during our dealings. All I've ever claimed is to have met Gerard Gravano. Now, Gerard Gravano, when we got arrested, we were in Towers Jail, 2002, 2003. And the guards, we were going to court, and the guards chained Gerard Gravano to Wildman, I think just to see what would happen. And Wildman's looking at me like, do you want me to do him in? And I'm saying, no, we're in enough trouble, man. We don't want to do that. What we need to do is, because he got arrested before us, find out what he's going through and these games that the prosecutors play and get as much information out of him as possible. So that's what happened. We spent the night with Gerard Gravano chained up together, going to court. He was a champion arm wrestler, really strong. And eventually he told me a story where he'd almost successfully kidnapped me from a nightclub and was going to hold me hostage. And if the ransom wasn't paid, take me out to the desert. And what happened there was I was at the Crowbar with Wild Man, Wild Woman, G-Dog, and more of my people. And they'd advised me to leave. They said it had got a bit moody. The atmosphere had changed. So I'm on GHB. They dragged me out of there. And Gerard later told me he'd arrived just after we'd left. So they had a bounty on me, and a striptease dancer had called it in and let him know. And he'd packed a gun, and his crew were on the way to get me. So we just missed them that night. That's going to be in this documentary. I'm not going to say the name of the major distributor of the documentary, but it is one of the biggest ones in America. And it's approximate 90-minute documentary coming out about me and my Ecstasy enterprise versus the Gravano enterprise. And they've interviewed family members of mine and family members of his because they want to show the family side as well. When I asked my mum if she was willing to be in it, I said some people are coming to the house to film, and she thought like 2 or 3 people were going to show up. There was like trucks of people and equipment, like it stopped the cars on the street. It got so chaotic. But they did a really good job, I think. And I can't wait to see the finished product. It's coming out this summer.